Hey there. Hi, I'm Linda K. Gifford. I don't even think I put a description on here, you know it? Trauma compounds. Do you know that trauma compounds? Have you heard that? Let's talk about it because trauma all around. We're already survivors and we're already hypervigilant and we're already working our way through trying to create. I'm in my window. I'm trying to get better. I got weird lighting going on here. To create a world where we handle our triggers. And I guess I should give some background. This is only my third live. And they told me I'm supposed to introduce myself every single time. I kind of feel like it's like I just met you. Hey, hi, and once and we go. But all right, I'm Linda K. Gifford. I am a CSA survivor. Because you don't get a graduation date. You just survive all the time. But it doesn't have to be like horrible. I found out that it affected decades of my life very negatively, and I've learned to dig my way out of that. And I've learned that other people have sex where they don't like disappear and go away and aren't just acting. And I've learned how to do that myself. And I've learned how to not be victimized over and over again, which I did, because that's what survivors tend to do one way or the other. But what we're doing, I'm a coach now, started writing a book, and I am working through the SPADES program. I don't like to call it a program or a system or whatever. There's 6 things I realize I do, and I figured out the acronym SPADES for them, and I figured it out while I was both writing my book, Self-Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault, and simultaneously, at first I was just writing, but months into it I decided to go back to therapy with somebody that I had seen 20 years ago, my therapist Molly, who I try to see an hour a week. I've slacked here lately, but I'll be back soon because even coaches need coaches. And I am not a licensed therapist or a doctor. I'm a CSA survivor. I'm someone who went through 7 years of grooming and rape and assault and getting raped and drugged. And, you know, I'd like to say that my case is rare, but I found out it's not. Found out all kinds of people walking around feeling like a piece of shit and kicking their own ass. And I decided to do something about it. So, all that happened after I had a blackout from news about perpetrators not getting proper sentences, and I literally just I don't remember what happened except I woke up battered and my eyes swollen shut, and my then partner I called at work. I'm like, what happened? And he said I tried to kill him. Beat him up, tore up the house, tried to kill him, choked him. And when he was telling me that, I had this vision of myself coming down on him and then trying to put my hands around his neck, and then it cuts out. And that is when I met rage. And I want to start off with rage today because we've been talking about the P in SPADES this week, separating the past from the present. And that involves dissociation, and that involves alters. And that seems to be the thing that is both most interesting and confusing, and also what people like to make fun of, like, oh, you know, call you crazy and all that. And as I said before, being a CSA survivor and being raped for several years, if your childhood does not lend one to excellent mental health. So I'll give you that one. But you know what? I'm doing something about it. And I've got a business that's been online for 5 years now. 5 years next in May, called feelgoodfairtrade.com. We used to be Seasonal Fair. We did roll the name over to Feel Good Fair Trade. But we've been continuously open. I'm going to be handing the business to my son. We're going to work together, but he's going to take over the whole front end of it when he graduates. Actually now, and he graduates with his bachelor's in May, and then he's already enrolled for his master's this summer. So he's going to take over that, and I'm going to work full-time with coaching, and I've got to get my manuscript to the publisher by the end of April, which is crazy because I've got like 3 books worth of material now. That's how I'm that kind of person. Like, when I write papers, they want 8, they get 12. You know, I'm like, I already cut out 7. You get 12. Leave me alone. Some teachers don't like that. But there's a lot to say, and CSA involves every aspect of society. And having The ability to dissociate saves many trauma survivors. In fact, it kind of separates I was going to say men from the boys, but that's the kind of language of society I want to change. Women, girls, men. I want to focus on using language that doesn't victimize or commoditize people. And so I've been trying to choose my words more carefully lately. So, rage. I met rage in my blackout, or the next day when I had that tunnel vision. And what I mean by meeting is, I didn't know I had alters until 20 years ago when I was in therapy, and I had one of those sessions where I woke up in the corner and I was curled up in the corner of her office, and I had this toxic stench, like a stink bug had gone off. It was so horrible. It was so horrible. So, no, I don't want to talk right now. So I had this, at that time, I met Little Girl, and that's when I first named Little Girl, and that's why I realized that I entirely left my first husband, who was actually a great, nice guy, because he would call me Little Girl, and it made me so uncomfortable, because it's weird calling somebody you have sex with daddy, or looking at someone and calling them a little girl and meaning you're sexy, or I want to fuck you. That's not cool to me, but a lot of people take it for granted. And I've had lots of conversations with other friends, girlfriends included, about it. And, they see my point when I make it, but nobody thinks that way. Nobody thinks that way. Until you know it's wrong, you don't know it's wrong. Until you know it has a negative effect, you may not see the harm. So I want you to listen to me, please, when I say it does. It does have harm to sexualize children. One of the red flags from my abuser should have been that he used to call me sexy when I was an adolescent. That was my nickname. That's just weird. And people think, oh, that's cute, and it's funny. It's like what they didn't know was that he was diddling in my pants and making me diddle in his, and worse, and it just went into full-blown, horrifying child mistress bullshit, and this is somebody I like. This is a family member, not my immediate family, but my eldest sister's first husband. And it took me a long time to come out and say who that is, and I know I've got people from my hometown that follow me now, and I did it on purpose. I finally decided that, I even said I was going to sue him, but because I finally realized it's not my fault. I finally realized that I kicked my own ass my entire life, and I'm done kicking my own ass. And you should be done kicking your own ass too. So I'm not whining. I'm telling you about me. I'm telling you about my story. That is not whining. I deserve to speak my truth, but what we're going to do is work on avoiding the consequences that we have. So first off, if you've come to me to get all better, I'm going to tell you right now, you're never going to be all better. That's not what it's about. If you come here to just completely always tell intimate details of what happened to you over and over again without moving forward in your life, this is also not for you. Nor is this for the person who sits in the middle and says, I know what happened to me in the past, and I know it wasn't my fault, and the shame isn't mine. I've learned that, but I'm still not going to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to advocate it. I don't want anybody to know. No need to cut off my past abuser. We'll just sweep it under the rug. You are perpetuating. I was going to say perpetrating. That works. You are perpetuating the problem. So I don't work with those people either. There's only one kind of person I will coach and work with. And if you're that person, stick around. If you're the person that's like, okay, I'm a CSA survivor, and I also don't want what happened to me to happen to somebody else, and I also want a better life for myself, and I want the ability to trust, and I want the ability to understand power, and I want the ability to understand who is and who is not really on my side, and I want to learn how to look for what I want in the world, which is the A in spades. Ask for what you want. Don't just take what's given, but we're not there yet. We're still on P. Separate the past from the present. They all get mixed up in every lesson. lessons, whatever this is, coaching. This is what I do with the people I talk to one-on-one, only it gets way more personal about their own situations. And you know what? I steel myself up by going on to Quora and looking at this dating thing that I joined. It's like horrifying relationships, and people are asking each other's advice about what to do. How do I keep my cheating wife home so she can't cheat when I'm at work? It's like, don't care, get divorced. I mean, come on. Have some self-respect is what I'm getting to. So you need to learn self-respect, and I want to teach you self-respect because it took me so long to get it myself. And when I found it, everything changed. Everything changed. I have the ability to look at someone and instead of trying to be what they want just so that I can make myself equal to the lowest amongst men, and please, am I at least fuckable, Now it's like, are you everything I want? And not only that, do you chemically draw me in? And this is something I've just learned because as a survivor, I dissociated and I pulled myself away. And I talked a lot about this yesterday, so I'm not going to get into that a whole lot. But I would pull myself away during sex. But the thing is, I didn't know I did that. It was just a way of life because when I was forced into sex acts at a young age, forced isn't the right word, coerced, tricked, beguiled, drugged, alcoholed into sex acts as an adolescent and teenager, what am I trying to say here? I knew this is not where I wanted to be, but I didn't know what to say. And so back to the top, the language of society has to change. And it starts with you being honest with yourself about what happened to you, and you being honest with people around you, especially somebody that you're trying to are being intimate with. And if that person, and I've been talking about partners, the day before yesterday was all, my second live was all about partners. And saying, partners, you don't have to stay. You're not obligated to stay. Right? Now I'm going to turn this around and say, survivors, you don't have to keep a partner that doesn't satisfy you. This isn't about you making them happy. This is about your happiness, your satisfaction. And I'm going to tell you straight up right now, if you are not having orgasms with your partner, and I don't care if they're a paraplegic, orgasms can happen easily and wonderfully if you are in tune with a person in the intimate bond that I've discovered only recently after being married and divorced 3 times. And I'm not blaming them. I'm saying only now am I with somebody that I have that with. And the reason is, I am convinced, is because this time I wasn't trying to be anything for him. I was magnetically attracted. I was chemically attracted and still am wildly all the time. That's not something I thought I could be. And so many women report that they don't have orgasms. Did you know that up to 80% of women, studies, they vary between like 60, 65% and 80% of women say they've never had an orgasm. And some of those they think are lying. So it might be less. A lot of women think it's not important, or sex is about him, or it's about babies or whatever. And it's like true climaxing with somebody that you truly are just driven to, and not in the sense that like, you can feel totally attracted and driven to someone. And I have been in the past, but not on this chemical level. The drive before was about, I'm going to try to make you happy. I'm going to try to make you happy. Now it's like, I am making me happy and I am so happy. I am making me happy and I am so happy. And that's a big difference. But until this happened, I didn't know it was possible. So I thought all that was as real as it gets. And that's the thing with love and sex, especially for CSA survivors. You think you know it. Okay, I got married, I've got kids, I have a healthy sex life, I can give a great blowjob, my husband is happy, I've got, it going on. I'm good, right? And then you break it down and you start talking to them, and no, they don't actually have orgasms. And no, well, when they're having sex, they're self-conscious. And no, well, but he's happy. Or they're happy. If it, this is an all male, female. All genders welcome. All genders in my family, all genders welcome in my life and in my coaching business. It's not a business yet, but I am going actually that way because I have to. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to help anybody. So, because we're starting to grow here. And as I see people hear people tell me, thank you, this has changed my life, it's like, I want to spread the word. I do. So anyway, there's a whole lot of intimacy stuff that we will be getting and digging into, and one-on-one we can get specific into what your needs, what your issues are. But I want you to know that if the sexual experience you're having, it does not involve a point that you forget you're human, that you've lost sense of where the boundaries between you and your partner are, that there's no thought process, but it's all about the physical, and then it goes into the expansive, universal, where did our whole, your souls fly? That is something that now that I've discovered it, it's like I'm hell-bent. I've been called a whore for this too. I want you to have great sex, and I have great sex, and it never happened before. Probably no exes. Like I said, it's not all about you. I was a CSA. I am a CSA survivor. Survivor. What does that look like to you? Is that the... Anyway, that's an S. And I always capitalize survivor because it's a stand-in for you. And B, when I talk about survivors, each person is a person. Each survivor is a human being who is making it through the world. And a lot of them are having a really tough time of it. And they don't even know it's about their past because we don't talk about it. We tell our own daughters, get over it. Keep it quiet. Or even at best maybe, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. We'll get you counseling. We'll get you therapy. Just make sure nobody at church knows about it. And for God's sake, don't let Grandma Sally. It'll kill her. It's just that kind of thing. It caused a lot of problems in my family. A lot of heartache when I came out about what happened to me 20 years ago. And I released a song on my CD at lindagifford.com. I'm actually changing lindagifford.com now. I'm combining it with Sweet Survivor. And I'm gonna leave my CD for sale there. But there's a song on it called Little Girl, and it says grape juice and gin, kitty cocktails again. And it's just, even then when I was just starting therapy, I didn't quite know where this was going. But now that I'm in trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, and actually had to draw out what it means to be a piece of shit in the... Whoa, the screen froze. It says I'm about to die, and you know why? It's because I forgot to plug the phone in. There we go. Okay. There we go. I just upgraded my phone, and the new iPhone 13 Pro Max came today, and I'm not using it. I gave it to my son. We switched because, he's 17, and I'm good. I'm good. I used my store phone. I dropped it the first day I got it. Dropped it off my lap because I had it on my lap in the Jeep. Cracked the face. Never fixed it and used it for like 7 years. Here's to being old. I'm willing to settle. Oh, do you see my cup? I don't know if it's backwards for you, but I made these. These were my store before I had seasonal fair, which we changed the name to Feel Good Fair Trade. And then this side had a picture that said, how are we to treat all others was the caption. And then it said, there are no others. And that's a quote from, I can't remember who now, somebody from India, I believe. And then I made half of them like this that say, fuck what people think. And I gave these to my children and my business associates and my close friends. It's like, fuck what people think mugs. If you have one of the coveted fuck what people think mugs, cool. I'm thinking about making more. Only this time they're going to have sweet because I I've started a rescue charity I want to talk about real quick, the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, and SWEET stands for Survivors Will End Earth's Trafficking. And I gotta get in the news here today. I'm mortified. I'm sickened. I'm disheartened. I don't know, probably every confused to negative to frustrated to hostile word that you can think of. We said never again. We said never again would we stand back and watch people just be murdered, just watch innocent people be murdered. And because of the threat of nuclear war, which is definitely very real, I see this, I'm not discounting that. But to sit here and watch, and I've got it on the news behind me right now. I have it on and I have it frozen. You see? Because it is important to me that I don't forget the suffering going on in the world. And the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund I just founded recently, and I'm working on nonprofit status for it so that we can buy transportation to get people in trouble out of trouble. And a secondary effect of refugees fleeing the country en masse, especially young children and teens unaccompanied by parents or guardians, is that there are such horrifying people in the world that they're already preying upon and kidnapping and taking and stealing girls and boys. And the Ukrainian crisis. And it's not a crisis. This is World War III. Here's the opinion piece, okay? This is World War III. And if they get Ukraine, do you think that's the end of it? Do you think that the threat is any less? We are under a very serious threat. And this is when I started this whole thing today. I'm taking us back to the top of this live stream, which was trauma compounds. And as a CSA survivor who is already hypervigilant, I am laying in bed, unable to sleep, just vibrating to the thought that, okay, I have to not think about this. No, this is a war. This is a world war. Fingers are on nuclear buttons. No, just calm down. Don't get so excited. And it's like, no. 3 weeks ago, Ukrainians were sure that this was some kind of a ploy. Nobody really thought it could get to this. You know, we stick our heads in the sand until it's too late. And right now, I believe we're in a lesser of the evil situation. And when we said never again would we allow other people to just be obliterated, to be murdered, to be massacred because of who they are. And when we sit here and talk about war crimes, you know, oh yeah, that's a crime. Yeah, is it a war crime? I don't know. Let's interview this person. Is it a war crime? I think it's a war crime. The president said it's a war crime. It's like, my God, people, we're not stupid. Stop the rhetoric and fucking do something. I know there's a risk, but we cannot just sit here and we won't even, what is the sense of we're sending all this military might in, but we won't fly the planes from our bases? What difference is that? That line, we're acting like that's a huge line to cross, but I don't think it is. I think anybody in their real right sense of mind, and I believe that we have military people that are in their right sense of mind and that they know what I'm about to say, which is that it's not going to make a difference either way. This is going to come to that. Whether he uses major nukes and comes after us or just nukes Ukraine, this is going to go down because Putin's lost his, if he ever had it, it's mine. You know what he is? He's one of those people that just lack empathy. And this is why we have to change the language of society, not just for CSA survivors, but for everyone. And we have to stand up for human rights everywhere. So I just want to say that if my vote counts at all, we need to take the risk. And I'm praying to God. I am praying to whatever God you believe in. I'm praying to everything in the universe and all the powers of goodness and love and kindness that be. that we are working behind the scenes in ways that we cannot talk about to go in and nip this in the bud, because we all know that the situation isn't going to be any better once and if Putin gets Ukraine firmly under control, because now he's got a huge boundary sitting on NATO, and that is just asinine. So, speaking of asinine, there's a word that bridges off of asinine that we'll get one shut down on here, but I think it's time for an asinine kind of event to happen, and I pray to God somebody's about to do it, because there are just some people in this world that were raised without feeling, that somehow just lack it. I mean, we know, actually, it's kind of interesting that there are, studies done by neuroscientists of people who truly are vicious, violent criminals, repeat rapists, serial killers, people like that, who, when you talk to them and ask them if let go, what would they, would you rape again? Oh, totally. I'd rape and kill. Absolutely. And they look at their brains while they're interviewing them, and it shows that the parts of the brain that normally respond to empathy just don't even respond in these people. And that is weird and frightening, but they are amongst us. And whether it's nurture or nature, it's time to do something assassinine to this person. I wish you know what? I can't even say, I can say childhood sexual assault on here, but if I spelled it out in a title or a hashtag, then I will get shut down. They will take me off the air. We are so not able to be honest about what happened to us that we can't even say childhood sexual assault. I was sexually assaulted as a child, anything like that. We can't put it in print without having our accounts removed. And I got shut down on Facebook so many times that I finally pulled my store off. And I want to let you know, Feel Good Fair Trade, we are doing a huge switch this week, where my son's coming on board. And for the first time in our history, I'm actually going to pause the store for, I'm hoping, I want to say 24, but that's not realistic, 48 hours. I'm hoping we won't be shut more than 48 hours. So, but if you go to feelgoodfairtrade.com, you can still get your orders in. If it's paused, it's just a matter of flip-flopping all the art, all a bunch of stuff. Very exciting stuff. My son, business marketing major, and he was a member of the Young American College of the Performing Arts and traveled all over the world and performed. He and Maddie, who is like a daughter to me, and his good girlfriend, and they are going to work on this together for the next semester as an internship, and then he formally takes over the front end of the store. So I'm pretty excited about that. And can't talk. I think everyone needs a coffee break. And remember to fuck what people think. Own your story. Own your life. Don't be the angry person that can't get over the past. And don't be the person that's like, I'm okay. I'm not going to do anything about it, though, and don't say anything, but I'm okay. Don't be that person. Be the person that's like, okay, I see what happened to me, and that sucked. Fuck you. And I am going to not sit here in the middle. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to make things better. I'm going to change the world, people. That's the people you need to be with me, to be working with me. You're my people. Stick with me. I have businesses I'm giving away. I'm giving away businesses. I've got standwithgreta.com, rubiesbridge.com, upriseincorporated.com, upriseinc.com. What else do I own? beesfeedus.com. I think I let Urban Warfare go. That was a bad move. Anyway, I bought earth2.0.com. And then I decided it should be -o because people are getting confused. So now I also own earth2.0.com. Oprah, hello. It was an accident. But then afterwards I was like, Oprah should help us, because the pandemic took away I was an independent contractor working for somebody else with seasonal fare, and he gave me free reign, but I was still an independent contractor having my checks cut. And when he pulled out at the beginning of the pandemic, I rolled it over and turned it into feelgoodfairtrade.com with the help of my son, who's about to take it over. He's been with me the whole 5 years. He built the initial website. John Gifford Irwin. You'll know of him. He's taking it over here with Maddie also. Anyway, the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund needs to exist. And I tangented. Started at lindagifford.com, has been my songwriter site that I just, when my best friend died several years ago, I just kind of let it go and ignored it. Well, now I'm revamping it, but as it stands, it's still my music site, and it still has like reviews and samples, and you could actually buy the CD there or any cut off of it really cheap. And I would appreciate that because the money goes to Sweet Survivor now. And sweetsurvivor.com will be rerouted to it. And the Earth 2.0 fundraising family of shops, which is what Earth 2.0 is for now, is going to have all these under shops under it. And then anybody wants to make up their own shop. If you've got a store you want to move under the Earth 2.0 fundraising family umbrella, great. If you want to take one of the ones I already bought, I'm giving you 49%. I'm keeping 51%. So that I've got the main say, but you'd be a 49% owner, and it'll be totally up to you to grow this store and do native advertising and work. So these are people that are social media savvy. And if you've got any Shopify experience or Shift for Shops, which I'm moving, we're going to use Shift for Shops probably, unless I work out a super sweet deal with Shopify for multiples. Anyway, so a lot of things going on, and I'm not a piece of shit. That's what I'm saying. I've been spending my whole life trying to make up for the piece of shit that I think I am. And someone recently told me, that I'm an overachiever, and that but they said it in a negative way. It was like, I always feel like I never get anything done. And a friend that does like me a little, most of the time, not always, said, you get twice as much done as anybody I know. And I'm like, only twice, And for me, I don't understand life if you're not trying to accomplish something. But I've also learned that is something that survivors do, is try to compensate. So if you're going to compensate, don't do it in negative ways towards trying to please somebody that's not making you happy. Compensate by going after what you want in life. Compensate by making it your mission to help other people. Compensate by helping. Hell, please donate $5 a month to the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund or anything you can at Facebook or GoFundMe pages, all of which is about to roll. I just haven't had the time. I won't have the time until next week to roll that all together into the new Sweet Survivor, Linda K. Survived, whatever website. I already own lindagifford.com and sweetsurvivor.com, so we'll probably just subdirect them both, or subdirect Linda Gifford to Sweet Survivor now. And it's going to have everything, an appointment calendar. I want to interview people. This is free. It'll be coaching if you want it to be. We'll talk about whatever you want to, but I want to hear your story because I'm making an addendum for my book. As we put the final manuscript together, actually it's 3 books now. Now it's Surviving in Spades, How to Get from Trigger to Happy, and I'm not sure what the name of the third one is, but it's like, it's growing. There's so much material because I keep focusing on this and on that. I keep finding different ways it's affected me in life, and I want you guys to understand some things. And as in my separating the past from the present, I feel it's necessary to touch on forgiveness. You don't have to have it. Okay? Whatever anybody tells you, you don't have to forgive anybody. That's a bunch of BS. That's a bunch of religious crap. That's a bunch of whatever. If you think you need to, people also say the only person you need to forgive is yourself. And that's supposed to be better than, well, okay, you don't have to forgive your perpetrator, your assaulter, the person that fucking raped you when you were a little kid, a child, put their penis in a child, sodomized a child. You don't have to forgive. I'm not going to forgive him ever. Ever. And then I was like, I have to forgive myself. That's all I have to forgive. But I'm way past that. Now I'm like, I don't have to forgive myself. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. Except, no, there's not even an except. I wasn't given the language. I wasn't given the skills. I had a great family and loving, supportive parents who had about killed when they found out. And I think it did kill my dad when he found out so many years later what had happened to me. And I finally came out with this 20 years ago. And I'll tell you what, you don't have to forgive yourself because you never did anything wrong. And if you don't understand that, here's the technique, here's the trick and the tip and the technique of the day for you. I touched on this briefly yesterday, but I want you to think about some child that you love. And this is going to hurt. Trigger warning, if you are, I am not a licensed professional. I don't want you to hurt yourself. If you are easily triggered and it causes you any kind of harm, what I'm about to tell you to do might be too much. But trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, which I myself have been doing and has the ability to, across all forms of trauma, not just CSA, it has the ability to take jumbled memories that never got processed by your brain because you dissociated, because you were a child and your brain decided not to grow as many connections to help you dissociate. So now, whenever you have something that reminds you, a sound, it can just be a smell, it can be the chink of an ice cube against a glass, it can be, you don't know, it can come from nowhere at any time, and suddenly you're thrown back into a cPTSD experience, and it's all jumbled up here. What you have to do is make that a memory now. You have to take your trauma and make it a memory. And you spend a lifetime dissociating and then getting further away from your actual experience. You start stuffing it and you stuff it into your gut and you stuff it in your heart and you lock that shit up and you stomp it down to the ground like a spring, like a coil. And you're like, I'm good now. Yeah, I'm fine, but you're not fine. You're eating it, and it's killing you from the inside out. And that hurts me to think of. So, if you have the strength to do it, I want you to take a pad and paper and just start writing. That's how my book started. The 7 chapters, I wrote that straight. I don't even think I hardly ate, drank, or slept when I wrote those first 7 chapters that I posted. They're pinned to my Facebook page, Linda K. Survives, same name, pinned at the top of that page. And I would appreciate it if you would go like that too, because the more that we get likes and stuff up, then we can raise more money. We can monetize to raise money for Sweet Survivor, and kind of gave up on Facebook, and not gave up, but I'm focusing everything on TikTok because here we can actually interact, and then I just share things back, But the point of this isn't for me to get my rah-rahs off to you. The point of this is for real transformation to happen in you. And for me, what I want out of it is your support for Sweet Survivor. I want your support for Sweet Survivor and for the women artisans at feelgoodfairtrade.com. That's what I want out of it. And definitely this is, healing for me. It's healing for me because I did what I'm telling you not to do. I stuffed it into my gut and my heart, and that's where I kept it. And I didn't think about it as much as possible. So in doing this trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, which I will from now on today call TFCBT, for the sake of that's a mouthful, you're going to, I'll give you the example I gave yesterday. My therapist told me she's like, you keep saying that you feel like a piece of shit. No matter how much anything happens, whatever you're trying to do good in the world, you still feel like a piece of shit when you walk in a room. You feel like nobody likes you. Like, do I look like a normal human? Can they tell? I'm always trying to be as good as the bottom, as good as the lowest among men, Just do I measure up? You have this sensation there's something wrong with me. At least I used to be that way. And now I still will feel that momentarily, but then I tell myself things. I cheerlead myself. I talk to myself all day long. I literally do. And you probably should too if you're a survivor, because you have a negative voice going, that self-talk, which is why I named my book Self-Talk, because you have a negative thing going in your head all the time. You do. You sit there and it's like, I know, God, I'm so stupid, and you need to change that to, I did good, I forget to stop and when I have success and say, like yesterday, I got off the live stream and I saw that there were 225 viewers, and I was like in shock because there were 9 the day before my first one. And so I was like, well, that's good, but I didn't let it feel good. And then after a while, my gamer son, he's like, that's great. And I was like, embarrassed. And I was like, really? Oh, cool. And my first thought was like, even that, stuff it down. Then I'm like, whoa, I should get the champagne. He said, that's insanely good. It's like, be happy is what I'm saying. Celebrate every success. And people who know me now know that I pop a bottle of champagne for just about anything, because I now celebrate every success. Hell, I may not live through, it could get hit by a truck tomorrow. So you celebrate everything. Celebrate everything. It's like, I got the hangnail off. Pop a bubble. No, maybe that's a little extreme, but, fuck what people think. Drink all the champagne you want. That's what I'm saying. But the SPADES program, back to the SPADES program, and separating the past from the present, and dissociation. Told you earlier that I met Rage, and I realized that Rage was a separate person, not separate person, a separate part of me, a separate person within me, and that Rage is an asshole, Rage is a bully, but Rage got me going because Rage was what I created out of my own experience. And though I had a wonderful family, I was also expected to be a straight A student. I remember once when I told my dad I got 100% in math class, Mr. Palmer's 7th grade science class. I got 100%, right? And my dad was counselor of the high school at that time. And it's a very small town that I come from, Herman, Missouri. And he's like, only 100? Mike Boger got 103. And it's like, goes the, balloon deflates. So I was raised with the pressure of being perfect, and having sex with your more than a dozen years older than your brother-in-law is not only disgusting and makes you want to kill yourself, but it is also not perfect. And when I ran away from home, I actually ran to the home of my abuser rather than deal with my parents finding out. That's how just fucked up it is. That's a hard thing to explain, and it was a hard thing to write about. A lot of survivors went through a phase of being, or still are in a phase of being hypersexual instead of hypo, where they have sex with anybody and people think, oh, they're slutty and they like sex, whatever. What they're really doing is dissociating. They're having the kind of sex I used to have, even with people that I married. I felt guilty if sex didn't lead to a long-term relationship. So I married a lot of people, divorced a lot of people too. Just because you're having a lot of sex doesn't mean you're having good sex. And just because you think you're having good sex doesn't mean you're having an intimate bond that's the kind of thing you base a lifetime on. And I can guarantee you don't, because if you did, you wouldn't be having a lot of sex with a lot of different people, because you'd be feeling this thing. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. I'm not judging. You do you. You have all the sex you want with whoever you want to. Wrap it up. Be careful. For me, as a human being, I know sex makes babies, and I am not opposed to abortion. I've had 2, and they were hard decisions to make, and I'm glad I had that choice. But it was definitely not a good situation either time, and I'm not going to judge someone else. But I'd like to give you the opportunity to think about not putting yourself into situations where creating a human life is possible, and that maybe, just maybe, whatever you do or do not believe in, because I believe in belief. I believe the power of belief works. I believe in the power of faith works, but I don't have belief in anything, and I don't have faith in anything either. I have faith in the ability of faith to create and manifest reality, and I have belief in the fact that belief manifests reality too. And so learning that has caused me to stop dwelling on no one will ever love me because of the past. And I mean, I literally never told 3 husbands that I had been sexually violated for 7 years of my childhood. You'd think that'd be important, right? But no, I didn't think to tell him. No, I thought to tell him, but I didn't tell him. And when I finally did tell my second husband, at the point that my counselor cut him off, and our counselor, marriage counselor, and said, he's a pathological liar and he's never going to change and a narcissist and you need to get away from him and you need to do sexual abuse counseling. And I started that. That was the start of all this 20 years ago. That person, when I was honest with him, told other people. He told other people. And it was, I didn't want anyone to know. And I'm a musician, and a lot of people, I played in music in front of a lot of people. In a committed relationship does need to understand to some degree the extent of what happened to you, the gist of the matter. They don't need the play-by-play. And it's not going to benefit them for you to just dwell on and give them the play-by-play of everything that ever happened to you. And what I didn't say yesterday, and I want to add now to that, is nor are you obligated to tell someone everything that ever happened to you. Your past is your past. You are not under any obligation to say, and I had sex with this person and then I was stupid, and yeah, having sex with that clown troupe under the bridge was really bad. I never did that. I just brought up clown troupe yesterday, so I thought I'd stick with the theme. I'm saying, ow, I have a pulled ligament in my knee. That's what I'm saying. That's not what I meant to say, but when I shift it, ow, it hurts. I broke my foot and pulled a ligament in my knee February 13th. And it's allowed me a lot of time to pursue my TikTok, which I just started. This is day 3 of 4, I guess. Of lives. I started March 1st, which would have been my brother's birthday, except he died unexpectedly when he was 61 years old, just a few years back. You're going to separate the past from the present, and you're going to be okay. And what I want you to do as your homework, same as yesterday, is I want you to draw. And if you're like me, when she said draw what feeling like a piece of shit in the world, back to the top. So I often say back to the top of where this all started and what it all tangented into. I had no idea. So I got out a sketchbook and some pastels and I just started to draw. I didn't know what to draw. So I started with, okay, I liked him. He was nice to me. He was my brother-in-law. I was just a little kid. He worked on cars. I hung out under the carport. So I drew a picture of that. And then the memory came to me of him, getting in my shirt and mouth on me and whatever, and how disgusted that made me feel. And also made me feel physical things that confused me, but definitely didn't make me happy. And drawing that picture was hard. And then the next picture, actually the next picture was sitting at a table being given grape juice and gin. I should just show you. I'll show you again. This is harsh stuff. Trigger warning. Go away if you don't, if you're easily, whatever. I'm going to show you this, not gratuitously, but because I didn't know what I was going to draw. And then I ended up drawing, here we are. And I drew what thoughts came to my mind, which was, I like you, you don't mind my company, you smile and laugh a lot. And then it has him calling me sexy, hi sexy. And then I thought about sitting at the table and feeling weird and then laughing at me and telling me that I had alcohol and I had drank alcohol. And then I noticed that I drew a woman face on that person, and I went extra length to put a guilty, almost mask of a woman face on her, which was just subconscious. I'm dizzy and I can't stop laughing. Yes, I want to go driving because you drive off-road. It's fun. He had a Bronco. He would drive it off the road. I thought that was a blast. I'm a little kid. Motorcycle rides, whatever. Until he stops the truck and he wants blowjobs until he stops the truck. And then this is what happens, and I hated it, and you can see my big sad face I drew on there. I said, I don't want to do this. It does not feel good, but my crotch feels weird and tingly. I know that sounds gross to say, but that's the thing. It does. I'm a human being, and I was a little human being, but I'm still a human being. And he says that feels good, doesn't it? And it didn't, and I hated it, but I also didn't tell. I also just wanted it to be over, and this is where I started learning to dissociate. This is where the dissociation happened. It was like, I will just forget this. And I will just not think about it. I will separate that part of me. And that became little girl, who I met in therapy 20 years ago. And this is one with his hands in my pants. I remembered that. And he would do that finger thing. And I said, I hate it when he puts his fingers inside me, but he says, I like it and he won't stop. I hate it, but it feels like it has to go on. It's like, I don't have a choice. I knew I didn't. And then this is the end of this part. I did other things with cognitive behavioral therapy, but this, again, trigger warning. This is like harsh, but this is him forcing. He's got his hand on my head and he's forcing me down on him, and I say, it's ugly and disgusting and I can't breathe, and we're on a country road or behind the winery. There's a winery in my hometown. I know three of them. I know he won't take me home until I do it. And that was like how it was. I knew he wouldn't take me home until I did it. And so looking at this, while it makes me feel ashamed at first, I finally see. I see why she wanted me to do this. Because what I see here isn't me being a horrible person. I see him being a horrible person. I see him being a pervert, not me. And I can't sue him because they haven't changed the law in Missouri to accommodate survivors yet who don't talk about these things in childhood. But it's important that you write your experience, whether it's words, whether it's drawing, even though you don't think nothing's gonna come out, you'll be so surprised. Just put that pen or pencil to paper or crayon or whatever you got and just see what happens. Fucking throw paint balloons at the wall, whatever, and it will be healing. And what it does in a neurological sense is it takes these jumbled memories that when I said I don't know what to draw, I don't know why I feel like a piece of shit in the world exactly. Now I know why. Now I have a memory. I had the memory, but now the memory has been put into a chronological sequence in the part of my brain that never put it there before because I just dissociated. I was like, I am not going there. You got to go there. So if you think you have the strength to do it, I suggest that you research, preferably go to a professional counselor or therapist. Certainly you can do it at home too, but the memory trip is intensive, and you may want somebody with you that you trust, that understands what you're going through, so that if you slip into a cPTSD event, you can pull yourself back out. And I do want to clarify, probably every day, that the C in cPTSD, many people don't know that stands for complex. And many people don't know that complex, what that means is it's complex because not only are you dealing with a memory that causes you PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, you're dealing with a neurodivergence. It's not autism, but it's your brain has grown differently. Your brain has not given you as many connections between the right and the left sides, because that way you would dissociate better. And dissociating, or what I still like, disassociate. Both words are proper, but everyone says dissociate, and I'm trying to jump on that bandwagon. But board, that works. Anyway, putting your memories into an accessible chronological order like they were supposed to be in the first place opens up all these pathways to you now. Now you can learn about what happened to you. Now you can put it into historical and anthropological context. Now you can clinically apply things like meditations and things that will make you feel better. Now you can look in the mirror and say, this body is not damaged. This body contains me. We talked about this yesterday too. Never forget that your body is a vessel for you. You are not your body. And anything that has happened to your body, any part of it that is missing, any part of it that does not work, even if it's your penis, okay? Even if it's that, I can easily orgasm my partner in multiple ways, and it doesn't have to be a penis to be good. Just saying. Don't let anything stop you from pursuing true intimacy and truly loving yourself. And you're going to separate the past from the present. So now we've been working on separating the shame. The shame is not yours. Now separating the past from the present. And we're going to move on tomorrow to ask for what you want. Not tomorrow, tomorrow's Saturday. Tomorrow's race day, Formula One. I'm a big Formula One fan, and so is my partner. And the first qualifier is tomorrow. And first race in Bahrain on Sunday, 10 a.m. actual real time, if you get the Formula One channel. Otherwise, they usually air on ESPN at like 8 in the morning. So, good stuff. But do some trauma-focused CBT and think about asking for what you want instead of just taking what is given. Because we're going to really, really talk about that. And this is where relationship advice comes in. This is where picking a good one is important. Or choosing to not pick anybody. That's what I did. I spent 14 years pretty much alone. Nobody floated my boat. It wasn't like I was not into it. But I just, I didn't feel anything real, and I had work to do. And doing this work led me to the point where I could open up to somebody. Not just somebody, because there were still lots of nice somebodies out there. But you know what they say, preparation, what is it? Success is preparation meeting luck. Well, I've done a lot of work, and then I got lucky. And if you do a lot of work, it's a lot easier to get lucky because you'll be looking for what you want instead of looking at the world as something you have to live up to. Okay? Make people live up to you and your standards. Make people be what you, if they cheat, if they aren't up to your moral standards, don't figure out what you're doing wrong. Move on, okay? Move on. Tomorrow's the St. Patrick's Day parade. Actually, I am going to do some lives from the parade, just though, for fun. There will be beer. Just saying. So I'll talk to you tomorrow. Parade kicks off at noon, so I'll probably be on here around 11:30. Walking around. I'll probably walk with St. Andrew's Society. Oh, I have a broken foot. I can't walk with St. Andrew's Society. God damn it. I could go on crutches.
Bye.
I'm not sure how hardcore I am. Bye, sweetheart. Hang on a sec. Okay, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care. And Monday for sure. Monday, ask for what you want. We're going to get into relationships. And don't be afraid to talk sex, okay? And message me if you want to talk on the phone. I want to talk to you and interview you for my book. It will be totally anonymous unless you want to out somebody, and I'll be happy to do it for you.